Hi, another night at AI late to class using Wan 2.2 again. This is the trajectory movement with fun control. So you've got some splines there. You can move the camera movements, which is probably the best thing I've ever seen for camera movements. And you can move objects. In this case, I've got a little person. I've got an arrow where I want them to go, does cartoons, does real video. It's a pretty good result. If we look across here, we can see what's going on. Great at camera work, as you can see there. I'm also going to go back into Wan 2.2 Fun Vace and see if I can get more of these attributes ticked off. Going to have a look at this first frame, last frame, as I did before in the fun control, but now I'm trying it with the vase and showing how you can get greater results with Fun Vace. And back at this result here that I tried before and see how the movement's gotten a lot better with this Fun Vace. I'll be showing you how to do text to subject reference using Fun Vace and reference image to replace subject using Fun Vace. So before we get started, like and subscribe. Keep the video playing in the background even if you don't like what I've got to say, just so it can support the channel, and we'll get into it. Starting with the trajectory movement using Fun Control. I'm not going to go into what models you need. You can watch my other video on Fun Control to understand all of that. All we need to do here is just upload our photo, and we can right click on that and go copy image, and we need to get that other image into this box over here. And I just Control V, pasted that in, and there already is some arrows from before. I can delete these arrows or I can reuse them. And you can right click on here and there's add new spline. You've got clear image and delete current spline. So there's all these things that you can do. Once you've got that there, you can see this is how I did that one at the start. I just had this here and the arrow going up, and I've used the green one for the camera motion. Now it's really going to predict what you're wanting, so you can't always guarantee what's going on. In this case, it did do what I wanted. It did the camera movement using the green arrow, and it used this blue one to pull up the sword. Sometimes you might have the spline on the character and then it's going to move the camera instead. So these are just things that you've got to experiment with. But as you can see, you can bend this however you want. You can place that there. And once you've got other ones, like if I add a new spline, it goes right across so that you can come along here and start moving it around where you want it. If you want this person's arm to sort of move up, you've got to do that and move that along like that. And you can really try a whole lot of things and have a whole pile of characters all doing what you want. So this is a very powerful tool. Now I did find at 16 frames a second, it came out a bit choppy. So I've got this other workflow. I'll have this in the comments. We've got Rife in there so that we've got that up to 24 frames. And it just looks a lot better, a lot more smoother. And this one here, I just had the arrow across the top just for camera motion only, so you can see how simple it makes the scene a lot more dynamic. Arrows pointing down got me this sort of motion. So going back and looking at the cartoon one I did, there's a little man there, and I've just got the arrow there, and you can see how the bend goes up, and it's a little bit above the ground, so you can see how accurate this is when it comes over and does the final product. The man actually goes into the air, so it follows the arrow perfectly. It doesn't follow the hill, it runs into the air. So my prompt was illustration of a man on a hill walking. I didn't want to give it too much details, like what way the man was going or anything like that, or flying in the air. I just wanted to see how it would follow the arrows. Moving on to Wan 2.2 Fun Vace first frame, last frame workflow. In here, I've got my zoomed up image of the man and then the far away one. I did those in Google Nano Banana. Anyway, please watch my other videos on this one here where I use Fun Control to do first frame, last frame. And I also did it on this one here on the Inpaint. So I used Inpaint to do first frame, last frame, as well as the first frame, last frame node. So there's a few different methods here using Wan 2.2 to do first frame, last frame. Have a look at the differences between them and this one as well, because I think this is the best. The only problem with this is probably a bit of colorization that's not so good compared to the others, but I think the movement is definitely a lot faster. In fact, the movement's a bit too fast. Unlike normal Wan 2.2 where it's a bit too slow, this is at the other end. So at least with this, I can chuck it through the Rife and I can get a nice smoother motion. And here's the Rife version of that. Thought I'd try the same character and the same prompt that I did in my other first frame, last frame video to get this sort of arc around the woman and see what that came out like. Come over here and as you can see, there's a lot more of a oversaturation color to it, but they've also got this sandstorm going on. I didn't predict that. I didn't write that in the prompt. All I said was arc around the woman. It's looked at the desert and gone, there must be some sort of sandstorm going on there. But it did do a nice arc. I'm probably just a little bit disappointed in the colorization. Apart from that, it's come out really good. I've gone back into Google and done another picture with her folding her arms and legs on the desert, and then just written in the prompt, woman sits down in the desert and folds her arms and legs. Come over to the result of that, and it's done a really good job of keeping the background consistent. Usually these things will start morphing those sand dunes or something like that, but there's no morphing here. Everything else is really good. So this is probably the best thing I've seen do this sort of stuff before. The next Fun Vace workflow is getting this guy, removing him and replacing him with a text prompt. So down here, my text prompt is just got a beautiful woman wearing a black suit walking down a street. If we go up here, when we export them out, we're going through the RMBG, so remove background. And in that prompt, I've just got man written, so it knows to get rid of the man. Comes out, makes all the masks there, and comes down, and this is the result that I get. It's pretty good. It sort of doesn't work at the end of it there, but there's some parts you could make usable. I guess it's just a bit of experimentation with that. This is my last workflow, pretty much the same as what I just did then. This time we're going to use an image instead of a text prompt to change the character in there. Now, I did get these workflows from Civet AI. I'll give you the link there. I did change, however, this remove background because I found their one wasn't working at all. So I put in the proper RMBG, which as far as I know is the best remove background you can get. Everything else is just the same as what I've shown you in the previous video on Vace. So if you want to learn what models go where, go and watch that video. Anyway, the output from this very fast once again. Look at all the building consistency. Now, I haven't seen something move that fast that holds a building together like that. So this is really good for fast motion action shots without having to prompt action words and that, like chaotic scene and stuff. And in this case, it's probably too fast and too glitchy for normal video. So I'll run that through Rife and that'll make it all nice and smooth. Just remember with these, put your images on a white background and keep your prompt really simple. Anyway, that's enough for me. We'll see you in the next video.